This meeting is being recorded.
Well, Patrick,
Hello, hello.
I went out to Jackson Hole and brought back COVID.
Seriously. I would think it would be a lot of social distancing out in the big country.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the plane.
Well, I got on that sky lift thing. They put 100 people on to go to the top of Corbett.
Do I listen?
Sure, yeah.
I'll do it. Well, hopefully you're doing okay.
Yeah, just like a bad cold. But
You got COVID.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll give it a few seconds and then we'll get started here.
The camera isn't on, right?
I think it is. I can stop it.
So Grace, I think one thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put everyone on mute, and then we'll just at certain intersections, we'll stop and pause to take questions and open up for questions. Okay. Well, I have about a minute after 2 o'clock Eastern time. So why don't we get started today? Well, first of all, I want to welcome everyone to our Know Before You Go to the CUNA GAC briefing. We like to do this every year to just make sure as everyone's starting to prepare to go to DC in just a couple weeks, that you have all the information you need to have a successful conference. So as you all know, this is going to be a unique CUNA GAC. We've not had a face-to-face one since 2020. So
yes, dear.
One was canceled. And
yeah.
Hey, Grace, can you put everyone on mute for me, please?
Yes, I'm
Where are
trying
you
to
going?
for you.
All right, Patrick, you have to unmute yourself now.
Yeah, Patrick, unmute.
Okay. Okay, let's try this again. So, but as you all know, we've been, of course, been trying to prepare for the CUNA GAC this year with a lot of disruption, which we'll be talking about shortly regarding some mandates in Washington, D.C. But I can tell you our staff has been working very closely with the CUNA staff. I think we're going to have a very good conference. There will be less people than normal, but at the same time, I think it's important for everyone to go to DC and to be very visible among our delegations out there. So I want to first of all thank you for going this year, and hopefully the information we provide today will help prepare you. And once again, we're always, we'll be there, and if you ever have any questions along the way, you can always contact us directly. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Grace, who's going to kick us off and kind of start taking you through some of the key information.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for making time to join us this afternoon. And as Patrick said, we're so excited to welcome you guys to DC in just a few weeks and advocate on behalf of the more than 10.6 million credit union members in Alabama, Florida, and Georgia, and the 120 million members nationwide. So we're excited to have the credit union difference to lawmakers and help promote credit union priorities to the different offices. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. In DC, the city has mandated proof of vaccination in order to enter into most public spaces, including hotels, restaurants, bars, including the Credit Union House and the Washington Convention Center, which is where most of the CUNA meetings will be. So 2022 GAC attendees must be fully vaccinated by February 15th, which is next Tuesday. You can upload proof of vaccination on our website, which is lscu.coop. And after this presentation, all of this information will be placed online, as well as this presentation. So you can find these resources on our website in addition to others. But like I said, you can upload your proof of vaccination and find other resources on our website. CUNA is using a third-party vendor to verify that requirement. So it should be safe, secure, and anonymous. And we can go to the next slide. Among our 3 states, you can see we've got almost 200 people registered out of the 2,100 registered attendees for the conference. Our 3 states are in a great position to make a significant impact this year, this election cycle, and even beyond that. We've got 54 members of Congress between our 3 states. On the Senate Banking Committee, we have Senator Shelby of Alabama and Senators Ossoff and Warnock of Georgia. In the House, on the Financial Services Committee, we have members Lawson, Posey, Williams, Loudermilk, and Scott. And on Ways and Means, we have members Sewell, Murphy, Buchanan, and Ferguson. And on this slide, real quick, I want to make note, Congressman Buchanan of Florida is likely to take over Ways and Means in 2023. So we've got a great relation. We would love to continue building that relationship. We've got a great relationship now, but we'd love your help in furthering those relationships with him, as well as Congressman Loudermilk, who is a leader on financial services, as well as our other members, of course. But we've got some great leadership among our delegations and are excited to work with them this year, 23, and well beyond that, of course. So for the conference, many of us are traveling in the weekend of the 27th. The opening general session is going to begin at 4 o'clock. And then from 5 to 6:30, you should have all received a calendar invitation for the LSCU welcome reception, which will be at our host hotel Courtyard Marriott. If you did not receive an invitation, please let us know. We'll make sure that you get that. You see, it's from 5 to 6:30, and the presentations and welcome will begin at 5:30. From 5 to 7, CUNA will be hosting the exhibit hall. And then Monday morning, we'll start with the breakfast, as well as the exhibit hall, where you can visit with vendors and other groups. And then they'll have the opening session with CUNA President Jim Nussel from 9 to 11:15, where they will go over what you can really expect to see over the next few days, as well as how you can further advocate for credit union priorities and really advance our mission with lawmakers. From 11:15 to 1, the exhibit hall will continue. And then from 1 to 2:30, CUNA is going to be offering their annual meeting. And then that afternoon, there will be breakout sessions ranging from diversity and inclusion, increasing your membership, and more. So they've got some great options that you can find on our website, which again is lscu.coop. Leverage is going to be offering a reception at the Marriott Marquis from 4 to 5:30. And then that evening, the National Credit Union Foundation is going to be presenting the Herb Wagner Memorial Awards, which you can see is a separate ticketed event. And so we can move on to the next slide. And then Tuesday, you guys can see we'll open back up with some CUNA meetings that morning, which is the Credit Union National Association. Tuesday afternoon, and maybe even some of that morning, we're holding as backup meetings in case some of our delegations cannot meet on Wednesday. So just know you may see some things pop up for Tuesday. But that evening from 5 to 6:30, again, you should have received a calendar invite for this. But we're going to be hosting our attendee reception also at the Marriott. And we're going to be presenting the 2021 Federal Lawmaker of the Year Awards. And we're expected to have all 3 lawmakers present and speaking. And of course, that's pending any last minute committee or scheduled votes that get put on their calendars last minute. But right now they're all confirmed. They're excited to visit with you guys. And they're very appreciative of the credit union's support and this special recognition. Like I said, on Wednesday, and as we've done in the past, we're going to have most of our Hill visits. And I'm sure you've all heard, but Hill visits are looking a little bit different this year. some offices have required limited attendance. And so the advocacy team has worked around this, and we're working to reserve office space in the different House and Senate office buildings. And so we're reserving those for a few hours of time, and we're going to have the members of Congress come by and visit with us, speak with us, hear about our issues, and take questions. So it should be easier in that, you guys won't have to be running around and rushing around the hill trying to get from meeting to meeting and finding one office from the next. There may be some other meetings. We have some members of our delegations who prefer closed meetings with limited attendance due to COVID and other precautions. So some meetings may be closed, but otherwise we're looking to have more open meetings so we can have more people included. And then, so we'll be hosting those all day. CUNA is going to be hosting their GAC party from 7 to 11 that night at the Marriott Marquis. And then Thursday, we will all be traveling home. So like I said, we're excited. We're really grateful you guys are making the time to join us. We know it's a busy season, but it should be a great, impactful week. And then I think I'm turning it over to Blake and Murphy.
That would be me. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our webinar today. Just a couple things to go over quickly. In the past, we've had our LSCU app to help our attendees navigate our conference. We have a new app this year. It's instead of being LSCU, it's actually called LSCU Events. So if you look for that, it's available both in the Apple App Store, also on Google Play for us Android users. So it's available on both forums. And if you download the app, if you've been to our Georgia or our Florida advocacy conference these past couple of weeks, or headed to our Alabama advocacy conference next week, hopefully you have it already. If not, please go ahead and download it before the GAC. It'll be really helpful. It has the agenda, all of our speakers, everybody who's coming, anything you need to know, photo sharing. It really helps navigating the GAC with some larger attendance a little bit easier. If you have any questions about finding that app or need any help downloading it, please let us know, but we're hoping that it's going to be a helpful resource for you moving into the conference. Another thing that we ask before the conference, if you have not updated your project zip code information within the past year or so, and know how to, please go ahead and do so. If you're not familiar with the program, Project Zip Code is a secure online program run through CUNA that counts your credit union membership and matches them by a couple different metrics, but the one that we're looking for here is by congressional district. So it shows us by each congressional district in all 3 of our states how many credit union members reside there. It's a secure program. There's no personal information from any of your membership that is included in this data, but it really helps us resonate with our lawmakers when we show up to a meeting and say that there's 200,000 credit union members in their district. It really helps put into perspective how our issues affect their constituency. To download this program, you can visit this website here. You can also just Google search Project Zip Code. It should bring up the site. Please note that you will need to register through CUNA's website to access this. If you don't have a CUNA login and need one, please let us know. We're happy to work with CUNA to get you access to this site. And you can see the information here of how many credit unions we have per state that have updated their Project Zip Code information since last year. We ask that we do it about twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall, once before the CUNA GAC, and then again before our fall hike the hill, because the information does change quite a lot. If you haven't updated your information, please go ahead and do so. It really helps us kind of give our lawmakers the most up-to-date information. If you have any questions about Project Zip Code or haven't downloaded it before or have run into any issues, please reach out to any member of our advocacy team. We'd be happy to help facilitate you through any of those errors, issues you may have. But it's actually quite easy to use, only takes about 5 minutes once you know how to run the program, and really does help us with these meetings. And lastly, for me, as in years past, the Culax Sweepstakes will be back in person this year at GAC. And we'll be selling these sweepstakes tickets. They're $10 a piece and will count as a contribution to our Fed Pack here at the LSCU. And everything is electronic. There's no actual physical tickets. And each league every year donates a prize, and drawings are done on a daily basis. This year, the league is going to donate a solo stove, which actually was an item that was very popular at our silent auction at SQC last June. So we're hoping that that resonates with our folks this year. And the grand prize is a Peloton bike package. So high stakes for everyone included this year, and good luck with that, because that's a great prize to win. And you can purchase your tickets with cash, check, or a credit card. Our staff is going to be there with iPads or Squares, so we'll be able to take credit cards to make that as easy as possible for everyone. And purchasing $25 or more in tickets will also get you an LSCU pack lapel pin. If you're not familiar with that program, you can look to the right on the screen, and it'll show you what our pack pins look like for 2022. And they go up by level. So if you're doing your contribution for the first time this year, $25 will get you into our Advocates Club. But if you'd like to contribute a little more, or already do, we'll get you a new pack pin to correlate with that level as well.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to kind of go through a few of the capital tips. I am Blake Westbrook. I'm the Deputy Director of Government Affairs for Alabama and Georgia. So first of all, just kind of give yourself enough time to get through security, especially nowadays. There's heightened security in DC, plus with COVID, it can take you anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes to get into buildings. So please give yourself enough time. And we ask that you arrive at the lawmaker's office or in the room that we have set aside for Hill visits about 15 minutes before the meeting started. Give everybody time to kind of get settled in and give us time to prepare everybody before the meeting. We've provided all the materials for each office prior to the meeting, so they will be up to date on our issues. At least we hope they will. And the night before, we'll make sure they have all the information of who is going to be there, what credit unions you're from, but also our issues that are of importance. We also ask that you kind of bring some business cards, so you can give your business cards out to their staffers or the lawmaker himself or herself. Know the issues, and please, I can't stress this enough, please participate in these meetings, because we do this on a daily basis of talking to lawmakers, but you guys live it every single day. So when there's an issue like merchant data breach or something just as big as the credit union tax exemption, you guys can speak about it with more authority than we can. So we really ask you all to participate. We're going to make sure that we take pictures, and please take pictures as well to include in your credit union newsletter. We'll be making sure that we'll include it in all of our communications as well. And then lastly, make sure that you follow up with a lawmaker with a thank you note, or just a short email to the staffer to tell them thank you. That way, the conversation doesn't end at the end of that meeting. It can continue on, and hopefully we can keep establishing great relationships. But also, lastly, we ask that you dress in business attire. These are business meetings. Coat and tie is kind of the preferred dress for these Capitol Hill meetings. Hill meetings are going to be scheduled based on your credit union's headquarters and branch locations. So if you're headquartered in a certain district, that's the meetings that you will be in. Or if you have a large presence in a certain district, we will make sure that you're in those meetings as well. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, only credit unions designated to meet with lawmakers are going to be asked to attend. Like I said, we're going to be in one big room. So we're going to make sure that we are pretty fluid in the way we get these meetings and these lawmakers in and out. So please, we'll keep you up to date on those situations. We ask that you come and see us on the Tuesday reception. We will have up to date Hike Hill schedules and information during our announcements, and at the sign-in table, the registration table where you walk in. We'll make sure that everybody has your lawmaker meetings. We're also going to try to keep your lawmaker meetings up to date on your app. So it's very important that you download the app like Murphy talked about earlier. That way, if you lose the handout that we give you, you can simply look on your phone and know exactly where you need to be for your lawmaker visits. We're going to function as team leaders in your Hill meeting. We're going to bring up the issues. We'll kind of tee them up. And then a lot of times we'll just defer to a credit union or two to talk about the issue and talk about how it affects their credit union, because at the end of the day, we want you to share your story with lawmakers, because that is what is most effective. And, we always want to make sure we keep these conversations to credit union issues only. Obviously, I know that many of us are passionate about several different things, not just credit unions, but remember, we're up here talking about credit union issues. We want to make sure we keep it that way. We don't want to deviate from our planned agenda. And also, please make sure you attend these Hill visits. If you can't make the visits, let us know as soon as possible, because we may have to provide names ahead of time to lawmakers' offices with the current COVID and security measures they put in place. So with that, I think I'm going to turn this back over to Grace Newcomb, who is going to go over the topics for discussion with lawmakers.
Absolutely. Thanks, Blake and Murphy. And yeah, just to reiterate, offices are required that names be provided ahead of time. And any slight deviation from that list may result in no access at all to the meeting. So if you have any change at all, please let us know. Our contact information is going to be at the end of the slide. It'll be on the app. And if you haven't already been bugged by our many emails, you will soon. So you'll be no short of our information. But so there are several topics that we're going to be discussing and prioritizing at our meetings next month. And we're going to go over those briefly in this meeting. And we're going to be providing additional resources on our website, on the app, and in your packets. Some of the things we're going to be discussing are the credit union difference, the Expanding Financial Access for Underserved Communities Act, merchant data breach, credit union tax exemption, preservation, and other issues of importance. So related to the credit union difference, since their inception, you all have been one of the strongest investments that Congress has made in helping consumers achieve the American dream through success to credit and reliable financial services. You all prioritize financial well-being for members and your communities. You save members annually $13.6 billion and $5.6 billion annually just in auto loans. As credit unions provide an alternative to banks in the marketplace, the presence of credit unions alone benefits non-credit union members by $5.3 billion annually. So there's a significant impact for not just communities and credit union members, but non-members as well. In addition to advancing our communities by strengthening financial well-being, credit unions contribute nearly $20 billion in local, state, and federal taxes annually. And we'll go to the next slide. Related to merchant data breach, related to the Expanding Financial Access for Underserved Communities Act. This is a bill that you guys have all probably heard about over the years. We've seen some movement on this, and we're hopeful to really get this moving. So this would allow credit unions to continue their mission of reaching the underserved and unbanked communities. The decline of locally owned banks has left a void that credit unions are ready to fill, especially in banking deserts and underserved communities. Nationally, the average of unbanked Americans is 5.4%. And alarmingly, in 2 of our states, we're more than 2 percentage points higher than that national average. In Alabama, we're at 7.6%. In Florida, we're at 3.8%. And in Georgia, we're at 7.4%. This bill would allow credit unions, like I said, to add underserved communities to their fields of membership. An underserved community is defined as an investment area as defined by the Community Development Financial Institution Fund. They're subject to the IRS definition for the new markets tax credit. And those are those individuals who are more than 10 miles from the closest branch of a financial institution. This bill allows for unlimited business lending authority in these areas, which you guys know is currently capped at 12.25% of a credit union's assets. And this proposal has been heard by the House Financial Services and has the support of committee leadership as well as GOP invited witnesses. This is an especially important piece of legislation that we want to discuss with our Florida members as we're working to gain Republican co-sponsors. And we're working on Congressman Bill Posey in Florida to actually co-lead this legislation. So this is something we'll definitely want to emphasize to members and hopefully gain their support and make them realize what credit unions are doing to already reach these underserved communities and provide them access to resources. Let me see what the chat is. And yeah, so we're going to be providing some additional resources related to this on our website.
Yes, we'll have some. We'll have some additional resources about underbanked on lsu.coop/2022 GAC. We'll make sure we have those on there. And then also, I saw Gary asked what bill number this is. This has not been marked up yet, so it does not have a bill number. So as soon as we have a bill number, we'll make sure everybody knows about it. Absolutely. And then,
Also-
go ahead, Murphy, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
like I said,
also
this is-
while we're looking in the chat and have a quick moment, missed a question earlier about whether tickets were available online for the raffle. There aren't any per se tickets that we can get directly from CUNA for the raffle. However, there is our FedPAC contribution page on our LSC website, which we'd be happy to include in our GAC page. If you contribute $10 or more through our webpage to our FedPAC, we'll count that as a ticket and it'll be included in the raffle just the same.
Yeah, and back to this bill. So this is something, Mr. Vian, that we have been discussing with the offices. I believe you were on some of our Hike the Hill calls last fall, but it's something that offices are definitely aware of, and they know it's a priority for us. So we just want to nail the importance to them and explain to them how credit unions are working to do this. It's part of their mission, and it's something they live out daily. So moving on to the next slide. So credit unions, as you guys know, are required by the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, or the GLBA, to have data security standards over their members' data. The GLBA does not, however, preempt states to enact additional standards, allowing them to further define security standards and breach notification laws. If individual states were to pass different versions of data security, not only would this complicate compliance for GLBA, it would create a patchwork of laws and regulation throughout the country. The growing patchwork of state-level data privacy and protection laws create confusing environments that are exploitable by bad actors. So we're asking Congress to support a very strong national data security law that brings all who collect, use, share, process, and house consumer information under one uniform standard to create some level of consistency. And then we are moving on to the credit union tax exemption, which is based on our structure and mission, not the size or complexity of the credit union. Currently, more than 50% of credit union originated mortgages go to lower or middle income borrowers. More than 10% of credit unions are now certified minority depository institutions. Annually, credit unions provide $18.9 billion in direct and indirect benefits to the consumer, outweighing our $1.9 billion price tag for the credit union tax status. One way to advocate for the credit union tax exemption is to continue telling your stories about what you guys are doing locally, the impact that you guys are making in communities, in members' constituencies. When they see that, when they are continually made aware of the impact that you are having, it really proves to them why credit unions earn this exemption every single day. While tax exempt, the exemption comes from income, credit unions pay annually nearly $20 billion in local, state, and other federal taxes. So, like I said, we're asking Congress to continue supporting this tax status and protecting credit unions as they work to support communities and local constituencies. We can go to the next slide. Some other major issues that we're working on right now is cannabis banking. So providing financial services for cannabis-related businesses is a choice for each individual credit union. And currently, only a small number of credit unions are offering these services, given there are some contradicting state and federal laws. This past Friday, actually, the Safe and Fair Enforcement Banking Act, which is otherwise known as the SAFE Act, was passed as an act, which is a bill intended to make the U.S. economy more competitive against China. So this is the 5th time in 2 Congresses that the Safe Banking Act has passed out of the House, and it has been stalled in the Senate each time. And it's expected to have an uphill battle once again. So it's important that in those conversations, especially with our Senate offices, that we emphasize the importance of providing those protections to financial institutions in this legislation. Timing wise, it's going to be great. The Senate's expected to pick up similar legislation to fully decriminalize the use of marijuana on none other than 4/20 or April 20th. So like I said, timeline wise, it'll be great with us on the Hill in March. And so it'll be great timing and great opportunity for credit unions to voice their concerns and support for our priorities. Some of you guys heard about postal banking last fall. There's some additional expected proposals to bring this back up. but we'll see what happens, especially with the election cycle picking up. This would allow consumers access to more banking options. So credit unions adamantly support and are diligently working, as you all know, toward the goal of expanding banking access. However, we have concerns about proposals to leverage the Postal Service or create a public bank to achieve this goal. And like I said, with the election cycle coming up, I doubt this is something that will be taken seriously, considering some conversations have been had in recent elections. So we can move on to the next slide, which I think is our last issue. So related to member business lending, credit unions continue to support legislation that would grant a 1-year reprieve from the current 12.25% member business lending cap. It is estimated this reprieve would generate about $5.5 billion nationally in economic growth, along with 50,000 jobs. So clearly there's a significant impact. Love for you guys to, share your stories like Blake mentioned earlier. The best stories come from those of you who will be directly impacted. And so we hope you will speak up in these meetings, let them know how these would impact you, your members, or your communities. And then we'll move on to the next slide, which I think is our contact information. Yes, so as we mentioned earlier, we'll all be on site in DC. You can reach out to any of us via phone, email, or whatever it may be. And we're happy to help however we can. But ultimately, we're just excited to have you guys in DC and excited to have you guys advocating on behalf of our credit unions. So if there are any questions that were not answered, like I said, this is going to be placed online and we'll have additional resources on our website. But if there's anything that we can answer now, we are more than happy to. And you'll have to take yourself off mute.
Hi, this is Carmen Tapinas with Space Coast. I just have a couple questions just to make sure I understand. We are going to be meeting for the Hike the Hill. We're going to be meeting in one location separate depending on who we're going to meet with. Is that correct? Is that what I understood?
I'm sorry, I think I understood that correctly. So certain meetings, certain offices are only wanting to meet in their office with a restricted number of attendees. And then we're hoping that for those members who are willing to meet with larger groups, that we'll be able to bring them into larger office space. But several offices have capped attendance at 5 attendees, which of course is problematic. I know several of you have, 7 or so more attendees just from one credit union. So we want to keep you guys together, and especially for those of you who are in one district, we want to make sure you have the opportunity to interact with your lawmaker. And Cindy, I saw your question in the chat about the Expanding Financial Access for Underserved Communities Act, and that is correct, Cindy. So that bill would allow federally chartered credit unions to expand their services.
Grace, Jim Notter, Bright Star. Perhaps I may have missed it, but my question is the Zoom ability for the general sessions and any of the breakouts. Do you have information on that yet?
Yes, sir. So limitedly, CUNA announced, I believe it was Monday, that they are going to be offering a virtual option. And so that will allow people, as you guys know and are well aware of Zoom at this point, you'll be able to call in from anywhere if you wish to not come in person. But yes, that will be an option. And you can also find information on that on our website, lscu.coop, about how you can register the virtual option. I believe we've got Maureen on here. But as far as hotel reservations go, I know they've been kind of strict about cancellations that are not related to those who have COVID specifically. But Maureen, if I said any of that incorrectly, please chime in.
No, you did perfectly. So if anyone does have a cancellation of their hotel, you will want to contact us directly. You can contact education@lscu.coop and let us know. They had not released the entire block out to the hotels yet. So we're helping people cancel things behind the scenes. And there is a 1-night penalty at this point for any cancellations.
Grace,
Linda? Yes, ma'am.
This is Brenda. Yes. Two questions. The Hill visits open only to the credit union registrant, or will the visits be also open to registered guests?
That is a good question. I'm gonna let Blake or Patrick, if he's still on here, some of our alums.
Generally, we would it's just the credit union registrants, just officials from the credit unions would want to be in those meetings. We have limited space, obviously, at this time right now due to the COVID restrictions. So I think for right now, we would want to just limit it to affiliated credit unions registrants for CUNA GAC.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question is, and I still want to get a little more clarity on the process. I heard two things. I heard that some legislators will allow 5 people into the office, and some will meet the group in a group setting. When will we know who, and especially our particular legislators, where they will meet us and who will be the people, especially if it's the 5-person limit?
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
you organizing it in, to that detail, or just how will we know where to go?
Yes, ma'am. Great question. And I know it's confusing. Every single office has different requirements. So the Speaker of the House has mandated that no more than 5 people come in. But of course, you got some offices who are, quote, wide open. So what we've done to get around that 5-person limit, for the members of Congress who are comfortable, we are working to reserve space in, for example, Rayburn office room, which can hold about 40 people. And same with some of our Alabama offices and in Georgia. We're working to get a few reserved in Florida, because obviously there's a larger group of Floridians. But we just want to make sure that we provide space that can allow attendees to adequately and appropriately socially distance. And those rooms are expected to hold safely about 40 people. And so, like I said, for the members of Congress who are comfortable coming in and speaking with a larger group, we want them to come to us. And that way, like I said, we don't have to limit attendees. And we're trying to use that option as much as possible, so we don't have to cap attendance, and we can provide that opportunity for each of you to interact with your lawmakers. And does that answer your question, Ms. Brenda?
And I guess the last piece of it will be, because this is such a fluid process, we'll be on speed dial, and you'll let us know where to go and in the Rayburn building, whether it's the big room or the office. Correct?
Absolutely. And so it's going to kind of vary based on the group. And we will be in contact with you guys plenty. You guys will be so tired of hearing it from us. But so for example, for example, we've got office space reserved from 9 to 1, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ms. Brenda, I will say that at the reception, we're going to do our best to have handouts that will have the list of all the meetings and where they're going to be before you leave for the Hill on Wednesday morning. And we're going to do our best to make sure you get on your credit union on the LSU app as well. So we're going to make sure we cover you with plenty of information, whether it be from email, from your app, and from in person at our reception. So we'll promise we'll take care of you.
Perfect. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, and we're to make sure that we all go through security together when we can, when appropriate. And that way it's easier to get in, easier to find people, and easy to find the location of the meeting. And I saw some questions coming through the chat about getting a schedule of meetings. We can definitely try to provide you guys, like I said, a tentative list, just with that understanding that it is tentative given things change so quickly there. And please know there are some offices that refuse to schedule more than 2 weeks in advance. So there's some we haven't heard from, but we have got a great reception so far from our 3 states. So we can definitely look to share that with you guys. And I'm reading, Mr. Kitchens, I'm reading your question now. Okay, yep, Mr. Kitchens, we will get this to you as soon as we can on the Underserved Communities Act or Underserved Communities in Georgia. But are there any other questions related to GAC or the meetings?
Case, it's Cindy Conley. So I just downloaded the LSCU events and I see nothing about the GAC yet. I do see the Alabama, Florida, Georgia, state conferences. Am I just a little bit too early?
You're just a little bit too early, Cindy. That should be up and on the app either by tomorrow or Monday. We were waiting for some schedules to get finalized before we put everything up there, but you'll have something on there either by tomorrow or by Monday. We've been working with different partners, and also we just got this app finished. I think Apple finally released it to us, when Maureen, like last week. So we're working pretty hard to make sure we get it all to you.
Totally understand. I just am computer illiterate and I didn't know if I had made a mistake.
Not a problem. No.
So I will wait for a couple days before I call with a panic that I still don't know what I'm doing. How's that?
You're fine, Cindy. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we can try like to upload the
Hey, Blake, you want
Grace,
to
I
jump
think,
in on that?
yeah, Grace, I think you're breaking up. Like I said, we're going to make sure we have the schedule of the schedule of events, the sponsorship, and all the information that
but
we
yeah, so
have
this
right
app is
now
supposed to be more
loaded.
efficient and more helpful with following changes.
I think we're going to do our best to make sure that we get at least the schedule of events on the app, and that way there'll be something up there for the CUNA GAC, and then the scheduling for the Hill meetings will happen as soon as we get them. As Grace probably said earlier, it's a very, very fluid scheduling process because some meetings won't be scheduled till 2 weeks in advance. But please check back recently as possible to make sure that we get those to you.
And we had
You
a
can see
question
that
come in the
community-
chat about the old app and if you should delete the old app and move over to this new app. It was answered in the chat. Thank you, Maureen, for hopping on that, but wanted to make sure in case you hadn't checked the chat yet that yes, this will be our new LSCU app going forward for all of our events. So you can feel free to delete that old app.
Any other questions? As we mentioned kind of at the onset, this is a unique CUNA GAC. It's constantly evolving. And so I think we just ask everyone to be patient. Our staff's doing the best they can working with CUNA on the logistics and of course with Capitol Hill and Lawmakers Office as well. So, I think this is probably out of the 24 CUNA GACs I've been to, I'm preparing myself to be as patient as I can during this CUNA GAC because the amount of disruption and with the different COVID-19 restrictions and protocols in DC this year. So, but with that being said, I think we're going to have a great event. Is there any last questions before we wrap up? Well, with that, thank you again for participating. We are going to have this. It has been recorded. We will have it online. If there's anyone on your staff that was not able to participate today that would still like to get the information. And also the next couple of weeks, if you have any questions, I know one of the previous slides, you saw all of the contact information for all the staff attending. So please don't hesitate to give us a call. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.